Greetings, guys. How y'all doing? I'm getting ready to. I got a couple of videos that I'm going to be going on right now, and your account must be 60 days old. You can't go live yet. To start a live video, you need to meet your page or professional profile must have at least 100 followers. Okay, so they're not going to let me do a live on Facebook. That's perfect. Okay, well then what I'll do is I'll just go with what I have here, and we'll go through these things here. Okay, grab my pen. Today we're going to be talking about these 5 topics, maybe a little bit more as well. The Ark of the Covenant, the Temple of God, the eye of the lamp, the Christ fluid, and the tablets of God. These are all internal. Okay, now religion has made it external. They've externalized everything here. They removed books from the Bible. Many books were taken out of the Bible and turned into a canon Bible. So we're going to take care of those. We're going to cover these things. My cat's right here in the way. Okay, the Ark of the Covenant, if you've been with me on this channel for a while, equals this here, the tablets of God. 2 tablets of God. This is the left and right hemisphere. Okay, this is what your 10 commandments are on. Commandments. Okay, also looking at the word mint. Mint comes from Latin, spelt mente, M-E-N-T-E. Mente means mind. So when you look at commandments, our mind, they come from the mind, the higher mind, the cerebrum, or the cerebri, or the cerebral, okay, is your Ark of the Covenant. Why? Because look, this is an ark. Now, in an ark, in an archway, when they build an archway, they have all these pieces here that they build the ark with. All right, and right in the center, right here, this one, this is called the key stone. Okay, the keystone is the headstone. This is the headstone of the commandments that Moses comes down from Mount Sinai after being with God, the Lord. Okay, understand that the Lord is Yahweh. It is not Jesus. There's 2 different definitions between the Old Testament Lord and the New Testament Lord. The Old Testament Lord is Yahweh. The New Testament Lord is a controller. Okay? A troll. A con artist who controls the mind through a spell. Okay? The spell, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a 6-sided hexagon from who? those in the providence of Israel today. Okay? Those in the providence of Israel are not God's children. Okay, those in Jerusalem, and that's not even Jerusalem, folks, isn't even the proper city. You know, it wasn't until World War II, after World War II had ended, that Israel mysteriously appeared on the map in Palestine. And if you look at the map, the 1947 map, before 1947, when Israel became a state of their own in that providence, if you look at any map before that, Israel wasn't there. Israel just magically appeared after World War II. So those in the providence of Jerusalem today, Jerusalem, are Khazar Nazi Jews. They're not the real children of the Most High. And you got to start understanding, at this channel here, we break down a lot of information and we start showing you the reality of what's being said inside of our language. And this is why U.S. aids in Israel's in that providence, because USA is in the word Jerusalem. And also you have Salem. Salem is associated with witch hunts. Give me a second, this bird's going nuts. So Jerusalem has USA in it, okay, and Salem. Salem in, I think it's 1622, was most commonly known in Massachusetts as the Salem witch trials, okay? So Salem is equated with witch. A hexagon is equated with a spell. A spell from El. Okay? So the Ark of the Covenant are your two tablets of God. It's the left and right hemisphere of the brain. This is what your commandments are written on. They're not written on an external force. Moses didn't go up on Mount Sinai and the magical hand of God carve out the magical words on these tablets, because the tablets are our brain right here. This is where your commandments are at. This is why religion has externalized it. They want you looking out there for Jesus coming down off a cloud. Oh, since I bring that one up, we also might as well hit this one too. The hippocampus. We'll touch that too. So the Ark of the Covenant are the two tablets, left and right hemisphere of the brain, which were at one point in time one brain. Adam and Eve were connected spiritually to the high mind of the Most High, the Supreme Spirit, which is the truth, and nothing but the truth. The Supreme Spirit can't touch evil. What it did is it allowed something, permitted something to do its evil, which is the war that takes place in heaven. Okay? So now you have the two tablets of God, which is the ark, which is the keystone. The keystone is the one headstone. This is why Moses comes down off the mountain with the headstone. All right? And their God, Lord, their Lord, Lord God, the Lord your God, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. Then the Lord God molded man from the dust of the earth and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a spiritual being. Now, in 2 Corinthians 15:45, it says, "For the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last man, Adam, a spiritual, life-giving spirit." So, one is supernatural. This is what you got to understand, that supernatural and spiritual are not the same. Supernatural are flesh. It's the flesh. And they live by the flesh. And they adore the flesh. And they love the flesh. They desire the flesh. And the spiritual being is of the mind. The high mind of God, this up here, this covenant up here, is a spiritual mind. The lower mind of God, the cerebellum, is where you get your controllers. Okay, the trolls. Okay, so the controllers in like John, first verse, first chapter, first verse. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. God in this parable is a controller, one who is in power, one that's in control, one that has authority. Okay, look at the word authority. What does the word authority have? Author. Okay, they are the authors to the evil that exists in this plane of existence. So now we got the Ark of the Covenant. We got that out of the way. I'm going to move to the temple. What is the temple? When Jesus says, "I will tear this temple down and rebuild it in 3 days." Now we're using a number. Anytime you're using a number in the Bible, we got to start looking at the Strong's Concordance. Because the people that wrote the Bible and the people that did COVID and the people that use numbers and the people that align numbers with tarot cards and the people that do all this magic, because that's what tarot cards are, they're magic, okay? They're spells. You go on TikTok, you have so many mediums. I mean, swipe a medium, swipe a medium, swipe a medium, swipe Jesus Christ, swipe a chick shaking her ass, swipe this, swipe that. It's all by design. If you have a video, you watch 60 an hour in videos, and in that hour you really only see about 7 or 8 different videos, because everybody is doing the same thing. Everyone is doing the exact same thing. So that's called indoctrination. So when your children see everybody doing that on the internet, then guess what? Your children are going to be doing what's going on in the internet. Okay, I'm telling people right here, right now, get the smartphones and shit out of your children's hands. Okay? Don't even give it to them until they're an adult and they can get it themselves. Okay? Because a parent that puts a cell phone, a smartphone, in a 10-year-old child's hand gives that child pornography for free. And if you block it where the child can't see the pornography, then guess what? It's not your child you got to worry of, is it? It's the neighbor's child over to the right, or the one that's across the street, or the one that's on the other block, or the one that goes to the same school. Your kid is going to see it. And you got to understand that these are demons out here and they don't freaking care. They want your child peeling her clothes off. They want your child pushing her breasts out. They want your daughters bending over and twerking on the internet. The more, the merry. And the more that do it, the more likely it is that your child is going to behave in the same manner. This is called indoctrination. So we covered the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant is the high mind of the Most High, the cerebrum. The temple of God, when Jesus says, "I will tear this temple down and rebuild it in 3 days," he's talking of, now, in this case, Jesus Christ crucified. Okay? This here is the devil. So when he says 3 days, 3 equals Abaddon. Okay? Which is the destroying angel. Okay? Or the angel from the abyss. 3 represents the pit, folks. So a trinity represents the pit. Jesus died on the cross. He didn't live on the cross. He died on the cross, and then he went to hell for 3 days. And then we are told by a fantasy story that he defeated death and that he ascended. Okay, look, when you fall for this kind of garbage, it only shows exactly how weak your minds are. How much these entities, these fallen angels, the 200 that it speaks of. Now, in the Bible, nowhere in the Bible does it say, today's Bible, the King James Bible, does it say that there was 200 fallen angels. Okay, it specifically says 200 fallen angels in the book of Enoch. So these 200 angels made a pact against mankind, and they are the ones that are ruling things from behind the scenes. They are the ones that sit at the United Nations. How many nations are at the United Nations? 193. Okay? Nations that sit at the United Nations. And then if you believe in angels and spirits and demons and all that shit, then there's 7 higher angels. Okay? Which are probably really demons. Because they made a pact against humanity. Now, this world in Christianity wants you to believe that the two are the same, that there's only one human race. That Gentile and human are the same, and they're not. Gentile are forged from the fire, according to the Quran. Their book says that jinn are the Gentile. They change spellings and stuff. But you got to understand that it's the word that's coming out of your mouth. Okay? To those that wrote the language, might all mean the same thing. Letters are not sounds. Letters are emojis. Letters are symbols. And then they wrote a context. They lined up numbers to the letters. This is where you get your gematria. And this is what you have to calculate. This is where you get your numerology, because they are big on numbers. Before letters or sounds were ever created, everything was a binary code, man. It was ones and zeros. That's what it was. All right? It wasn't letters. And then what they did is they created a binary code, and they started assigning letters, sounds to the binary code, which are really symbols. So when Jesus says that I will tear this temple down and rebuild it in 3 days, he's talking, this isn't Yeshua who was sent to the Israelites. This is the Christian teachings of Jesus Christ. So when Jesus says I will tear this temple down, he's talking about your temple. He's going to tear your temple down. Your temple, right here. Okay? And then he's going to rebuild it in 3 days. But if this is Jesus, in 3 days, the pit, he's going to tear it down and rebuild it. How's he going to rebuild it? He's going to rebuild it in sin. He's going to just make it polluted in this world. And this is what this world has become. It's become polluted in sin. So those are the temples of God right here. This is a temple. That's why they call them temples. I'm proving to you that everything in the Bible they have externalized. And when it's all about this, all of it is about the high mind. The eye of the lamp equals the pineal gland. Okay, this is made reference to from Jesus when he says, if your eye is full of light, then your whole body shall be full of light. But if your eye is full of darkness, then how great is the darkness that is in you? So this is also made reference to in Jacob 30. Genesis 30:32, when Jacob is getting ready to cross the river, okay, and he sees God, he wrestles with God. It's also wrestles with an angel. It also says he wrestles with man. 3 different texts. If you read 20 or 30 different texts, you're going to have man, God, and angels. So what does that say? It says that man, God, and angels are all one and the same. So Jacob wrestles with the angel, or God, or the man, and his life is preserved, and he names the place pineal, where you get L. I did the lesson for you guys the other day about L. Okay, the L represent the Elohim, the Eloheka, the Elonu, the El Shaddai, the El Elyon, Michael, San Raphael, Gabriel, Aziel. All of the angels are all El. And this is why El is in hello. It's also in below. And it's also in hell, because the Elohim are the ones that made a pact against humanity, that made a pact against us. When it says in the Bible, in the very first Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created the heaven and earth. Okay? In the beginning is time. 60 seconds, 60 minutes, 24 hours, 2 plus 4 is 6. Time construct is 666. In the beginning time, God created the heaven, space, because if you're going to create something, you got to have it someplace to put. But check it out. Where's the space? When God and Job are talking with one another, and God is saying to Job, tell me, where were you when I laid the foundations of earth? Tell me if you have wisdom. What were they set upon? So Job doesn't have, because he's went through all these trials simply because Satan says that, oh, you've cherished Job, you've done nothing but be kind to the guy. Of course he's gonna, worship you, man. But I guarantee you, man, if you make his life a disaster, then he's not gonna worship you anymore. Which I think this is bullshit. Why? Because number one, God can't be tempted. It's the creator. Why would a supreme being allow one of his creations to say to him, he won't worship you? Take everything that he has away. And then God so politely says, okay, you can destroy his family, you can destroy his home, you can kill all his livestock, you can do all the evil shit you want to him, but you can't touch him. You can't hurt him or anything else. But then he allows him to put boils and sores and shit all over him. So that's kind of like odd. Here's this creation of yours that has worshipped and been devoted to you and bowed down to you and worshipped, and simply because something you created says, hey man, Job doesn't really think that much of you, man. It's all bullshit. So there is the pineal, and the pineal is the pineal gland. Okay? That is what the eye of the lamp is. It is the lamp stand. The pineal gland is the lamp stand. Okay? Christ. Christ, from Greek, Christ equals chrism. Okay? And from chrism it came to Christos, which also equals Christ. Here's the problem. Christos in English gematria is 666. You see, it takes wisdom, it takes knowledge, it takes time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of typing, it takes a lot of research to figure this stuff out. So in Greek, chrism, to Latin, Christos, and then you got English to Christ. Ish. Kind of. Look up the word ish in the etymology dictionary, man. It's kind of something. That's why they're Jewish. Feel me? You connected? Are you here with me? So English are who? They're the colonials. Okay? Why is the word colon in colonials? Why is the Europeans pissing all over the world? Okay? And we got one more for you too. The English mutt-faces, land thieves, murderers, killers, destroyers, all of that are your rope around your neck. Is that coincidence? Do you think that's really coincidence? Huh? These people are evil as shit, man. They're as evil can be. Why? 9:24. The world is turned over to the hands of the wicked. Okay? Wicked. Wicked. Ick. Equals. Icky. Equals. Virus. That's why you have ick in politics. That's why you have ick in democratic. That's why you have ick in republic. Because this is the virus. This is the government. And it goes much deeper than this. This is why you got ick and sick. Okay? And start jumping into the etymology dictionary, the whole freaking world, everything that you've been taught. All of a sudden, ping, all of it comes to light. You start understanding exactly what's being said. So the Christ fluid is dimethylene, methylene, tryptamine. This is a fluid that's produced inside of the brain that's called the corpus callosum. Now, corpus in Latin means dead. Now, when you go into business, what does the government want you to do? They want you to go down to City Hall and file a fictitious business license. Why? Because they need you to become a corporation in case something happens, so you can't be sued. Why? Because a corporation is dead. That's what America is. I need you to understand that. America is a corporation that stole the land of America, and then those English mutt faces that are your rope around your neck and peeing all over the universe and got colon in the colonials are the ones that are the secret destroyers. So the dimethylene tryptamine is the Christ fluid. So now, in our bodies, you have the pineal gland. It's the only thing that's singular. both men and women. The pineal gland is singular, hangs right into the bottom of the corpus callosum, where the pineal gland and the pituitary gland are firing off neurons. They strike this chemical because our bodies are made up of a chemical compound. This is why they use prescriptions. When you look at, if you look up the word pharmacy in the Strong's Concordance, it's going to tell you it's a poison. It's going to tell you it's witchcraft. It's going to tell you it's sorcery. This is why they put pH. They changed it pharmacy, F-A-R-M-A-C-I-A, pharmacia, to pharmacy. They gave you the pH because Satan, the devil, the enemy, has to present the truth. So they put the word harm in pharmacy for you. That's why they changed it to the pH sound. So now inside of our brain, the corpus callosum, this is what it means from the womb to the tomb. Because there's an empty chamber inside of our mind, okay, where this Christ fluid is produced. At least that's what the world has decided to call this fluid. Why? Because they've externalized everything. So the corpus callosum is a dead part of the brain which produces a life-giving fluid, which is the pineal gland and the saliva glands, the little ganglia down here, the gag gland, and the genital area, the man's penis or the woman's clitoris. They're all singular. Everything else, double. Okay? Everything. The mouth is the only thing. The pineal gland and the penis and clitoris are the only things that are singular inside of the Bible. Okay? So now, we've covered the Christ fluid. I went on this kind of briefly, real quick. The tablets of God, left and right hemisphere. This is the tablets of God. The tablets of God are not out there anywhere. The tablets of God are written on our minds. They're inside of us. They're not out there. We don't need a headstone with commandments written on it. And the commandments are here. So give me 1 second. Images of the 10 Commandments. So here, let me see. Yeah, here, there's your headstones right there. Okay, this is called externalization. This isn't where the commandments are written on. Okay, that's the externalization of the lie that they sold you, because the commandments are internal. As Jesus said, you will not see the kingdom of heaven coming with striking observability, for the kingdom of heaven is within. It is not without. So now we know that the kingdom of heaven is within us, not out there. Everything that we view, okay, when you put on, today they're coming out with those headsets, those games where you put them on your head. I don't know what they're called, the Oculus or something like that. Oculus, all of us. Oculus is all of us. So that there, they're putting over, and what's it doing? It projects images on the Oculus. So what I want you to do is imagine that the firmament is an Oculus. Why? Because Satan, darkness, evil, tries to mimic and produce everything that the high mind, the Supreme Spirit, the one true God does. Okay? So, now the tablets of God are your left and right hemisphere of the brain. And I think you're going to like this one here very much. The hippocampus. What is this? This is the white horse that Jesus rides in on. Okay? The hippocampus is the white horse that Jesus rides in on. Images of the hippocampus. Give me 1 second. Now this is where you get your shooting from the hip. Okay, because this part of the brain that you're looking at, this hippocampus, this is where your memory is stored. Okay? The pineal gland is a receiver. It is a recording device. It's a biological recording device. And when you die, everything is compressed. Your entire life is compressed on this gland and is probably put in some kind of cloud, iCloud, or some kind of space. Okay? And then when you die, and you're a Christian, what are you when you're a Christian? When you profess Jesus as your Lord and Savior, what is that? Makes you born again. Okay? Crafty are the words that the slave masters. Can you believe that? That Christianity teaches you that reincarnation isn't true. The very word born again means reincarnation. Does that make any sense how people can miss this stuff? I mean, when the scales come off your eyes, it's a horrifying, scary thing. Because all of a sudden, you realize that you are in a world that is an illusion. It's a magic trick that has been pulled over your eyes. So the hippocampus is the white horse that Jesus rides in on, because everything that they're teaching in the Bible, they have externalized and got you looking out there, man. Jesus is coming down on the cloud. Yeah, he's coming down on the cloud, all right. He's coming down on the iCloud. You guys are missing it all. Okay, when you come into my channel, you watch this content, it's important for you to put it to memory yourself. It's important for you to teach your children what I'm teaching you. Okay? You bring your children up on spiritual wisdom instead of Santa Claus. Santa Claus. Your God Santa. Santa Claus equals 666. Santa's anagram is Saintin, and Santa wears red and black. Satan's colors. And he comes to meet with Jesus. Him and Jesus are having cookies and milk with one another, for all you pagan ass worshipers practicing Christmas. Maybe you should go read Jeremiah chapter 1 verses 1 through 4. That might clear things up for you if you don't understand it. It's very clear what the Bible's saying. So now we know that the hippocampus equals the white horse that Jesus rides in on. You ain't ever going to get this stuff from no Christian minister, I'll tell you that. Okay, and I don't care. They don't even come anywhere near me. The minute I start posting my shit on their page, everybody disappears. They tell me I'm a blasphemer. They tell me that I'm a liar. They say all that shit. And then I write a meme that's 2 pages long, man. It just can't be denied. Once you start reading it, they're done. They're finished. They're over. So now we're going to come over here to Genesis 1, 25, 26, 27, 87, 15, 6. So these 3 parables break down to a 6, which has everything to do with Revelation. And this is why you have the T at the end of Christ, because it is the crossroads. The Revelations, you have L in the Revelation. You have the T as representation of the cross. The cross represents death. Okay? Genesis here, God creates the beast of the field. Now, ministers are teaching you that this is lions tigers and bears. Well, metaphorically, you could call them lions and tigers and bears, but what it's really talking about is the Gentile. Gentile are created on the sixth day of creation. Again, the T in tile represents death, and the Gentile are gen, tiled in flesh. Okay, the Gentile are gentiled in flesh. Now, here's the thing, man. So there was a command given to God's children to stay away from the Gentile. And they didn't pay any attention to what God told them to do. So they started moving into the cities and the towns and everything of the Samaritans after they were told not to. And then they started sleeping with them and started fornicating with them. So now we've been here who knows how long. But I can tell you one thing. Maybe humans have only been here for 10,000 years or so, 20,000 years. But Gentile have been here for millions of years. Okay? They've been down here plundering, raping, killing, destroying, committing pedophile, lying and cheating, covering other people's wives, committing adultery. They have been a bunch of lying sacks of shit fornicators. That's what they are. And the Gentile are the ones who changed the Bible. By the way, Bible means basic instructions before leaving earth. Well, it's not so basic anymore because the Bible, as Jesus says, I believe it's Matthew 7:6, where Jesus says, what does he say? I lost my thought there. 7:6. What is 7:6? My mind just went blank. Can you believe that? Yep. Matthew chapter 7 verse 6 Bible Hub. Matthew 7:6 says, Do not give what to the pigs what is holy. Do not cast your pearls before swine. Looking at the word pearls, have ears to hear. Pearls are the parables. This is why you have P, E, A, R, R, L, S. Pearls is in the word parables. So Jesus was saying, don't cast the pearls, the parables, to the swine. Okay? So the parable is saying, do not give to the Gentile what is holy, the Bible. Do not give to the pigs, the non-believers, what is holy. Don't cast your beautiful pearls before the Gentile, the swine, the liars, the deceivers, the secret destroyers, the ones that have deforestation. They cut down thousands of acres on this plane of existence every day, which shades the earth that we live on. Okay? And then they create their buildings and they lay a blacktop on the earth. And then they say that climate change exists from cow farts. Now I wonder how many of you really believe that shit. Sadly, I know that there is a percentage of people that regurgitate that shit like it's truth. Okay? It takes common sense, folks. Reason and logic. Okay? If you don't have any of those things, then you ain't going to understand wisdom and insight. You have to use a little common sense. So now, in Genesis 1:25, God creates the beasts of the field, each according to their kind. And then in 26, it says, let us. Okay, people need to understand what let us means. Let us make mankind in our image. This is going to go deep, folks. Okay, why? Because you have the word mage and image. I'm a mage. And mage is where you get to magus. Okay? Magus equals a magician. Okay? A magician equals a magi. And a magi equals magistrates. These are sorcerers that have placed you under a spell with the hex. We're under a curse with the hex. So when it says, let us make mankind in our image, you got to understand what's really going on here. Okay? This conversation that's taking place is a council of something that was already created. It is not the supreme creator. You must understand that the El, the Elohim, the Eloheka, and the Elonu, the El Shaddais, the El Elyons, and every other El that exists is not supreme. Okay? What are they? There's something that is used of the supreme. Of the supreme. Used of the supreme creator. So when they're saying let us, this is something that's used of a higher mind. This one here, let us, is the cerebellum. This is the lower mind. This is the ego. This is what prevents us from listening to anything that anybody has to say, because we think we know it all. At the age of 14, 15 years old, you've got the world down, you know it all. Until your ass is kicked out of the streets, out on the streets. Then you start realizing how dirty this world is. Okay? When you're a child and you live underneath of a roof and you have that protection, you don't know what that world is out there until you get into it. Until you have to work every day of your life. Okay? They stole something from us. They stole our humanity. They stole our loving, beautiful women from the household and took them away from the very thing that needs them the most, our children. And they've got women, and this is what I mean about indoctrination, on the internet saying that they don't need a man, that their position isn't to be in a house barefoot and pregnant, spitting children out. They've literally got you women today hating the most precious gift that you have, the ability to birth a child into this plane of existence, into this realm. They've taken that from you and made having children a dirty word, a problem. I can guarantee you, as a man, if a woman wants to go out and bust her ass and her hump every day, and she makes a strong income, enough to provide for the entire family, I'd stay home. I'd rub her feet when she came in the door. I'd have her meals prepared and cooked for her. I'd have the bath water run and drawn. I'd pour the Epsom salt in for the woman. I would give her a shoulder massage. I'd rub her feet. I'd do anything that she wanted, man. That is not... I get so upset when I start talking about this because there's nothing more beautiful than when a man and a woman are united as one. You see, what happened is when Adam and Eve ate that fruit, they were all one mind. There was one brain. It wasn't a left and right hemisphere. When Adam and Eve ate that fruit, wham! The Creator split us in wrath, split the mind, gave us the feminine side, gave us the masculine side, and then put us in a lower mind of the cerebellum that is ran from the L. Told you this before, that bellum, etymology for bellum, is war. With the lower mind against God. We are at war with God. So this is why it says in the Bible, if you talk to people about God and they tell you that, I don't believe in God, that's a demon. If you talk about God and then they say, oh yeah, praise Jesus Christ, I'm glad to see you, brother, that's a demon. Okay? If they put a name to God, being born into this world that is turned over to the hands of the wicked, and you think that the wicked are teaching you the right name of God, you are a fool. There's nothing to say. You're a fool for believing anything that you're told from somebody else. This is why I don't worship the Creator by a name. I don't pray anymore by name. Prayer, Paroline word to pray is being preyed upon by the Elohim who have trapped us in the lower mind. So now, let us is a very deep complex, and you're probably not going to believe a word I said, but I don't care, because my shit doesn't come from a Bible all the time. A lot of my content comes from downloads. I just feel it, and I just speak it, man. I don't know any other way to say it. So let us make mankind in our image. Mankind is 666. So when they say let us make mankind, mankind was already created. They were already here. So when these gods, these let us, these Elohim, are saying let us make mankind in our image, mankind here is created and just a bunch of like animals, like a cow in a pasture, like a horse in a pasture. That's all we were, man. The mankind was already created on the sixth day of creation from the high mind of the Supreme Creator. Because heaven and the earth were connected with one another. There was no firmament. It wasn't created yet. There's a war in heaven. Heaven and earth are still connected. Everything is connected spiritually to the Supreme Mind, Spirit. So now the Supreme Spirit creates mankind. Not the Elohim. The Elohim are the ones who wrote themselves in the Bible as God. It's that simple. They're not the Supreme God. Now, are there other gods? Do gods exist? Or is there truly only one Supreme Creator? Or do you feel like you're you and I feel like I'm me, and we're divided into our individuality, but at the same time we're born into individuality. So let us create mankind in our image. Evil. Let us create mankind evil. Let's take these creations of the heaven, the high mind, and turn them into something dirty and perverted and ugly and users. That's what they did. So when they're saying let us make mankind in our image, mage, magic, let us make mankind in our image, they are talking about turning something that the high mind had already created and turning it into evil on the sixth day of creation. Let us make mankind in our image, evil. Those that my goodness gracious. Imaginary, and image. All of them have mage. You have jinn and imaginary. Imagine. I told you, jinn are Gentile. Forged from fire. Smokeless fire. You guys watch. I have a video on this, man, that talks about the jinn, why they're forged from fire. Why? Because they burn this place up. Every year, California goes up in flames, man. It goes up in flames because they're the ones that are setting the fires. They're the ones that burn it down. They're the ones that kill all the animals. They're the ones, when they said, this God here, God Elohim says, let us make mankind in our image, rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the cattle on the land, everything that creeps upon the face of the earth. God saw that it was good. Okay, yes, God, this God, Elohim saw that it was good. Not this one. Not the high mind. Not anybody that's connected with God is going to say, hey, I give you dominion over everything so you can frickin' tear down this entire earth, man. You can cut it down. You can poison the waters. You can kill the animals. You can kill each other. You can rot in hell, man. That's this God, Elohim. The lower mind, the ego. Let us make mankind evil in our image. Because they, Elohim, are the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So earlier I said, Lord God, 2:7 in Genesis, then the Lord God molded a man from the dust of the earth and breathed into his nostrils a breath of life, making this one a living being, which isn't true. A spiritual being is not living. You got to understand that. Li equals lie. This is why you have lie in religion. It's why you have lie in politics. It's why you have lie in policing. And on and on and on. All of it. Okay, now you got what? GI. What is a GI? That is a soldier. A GI is a soldier. So you have a lie to the GI, which are soldiers, and then you have GION, which equals a goon. Religion are a bunch of fucking goons. I don't care what religion you're in. I don't care if it's Catholic. I don't care if it's Christianity. I don't care if it's Krishna. I don't care if it's Buddha. I don't care if it's Vishnu. I don't care who it is. Religion is dead. That's what it means. You follow a religion, you are dead. You follow the truth, you find ascension. You follow this kind of content, you'll find ascension. You ain't gonna find this from no damn Christian minister, because they're the freaking devils that are trying to take your ass with them. Okay? Their time is ending. If you can't see that the earth and everything that's going on right now, it is imploding. Everything. Things are being observed. Things are being presented. Observations are being made. At least for me, I'm observing. So now let us make mankind evil like us in our image. Okay? Because those that are created in an image, what's the definition of an image? To shade. Okay? To shade a phantom. An image means to shade a phantom. It is an illusion. And you have the word il, and you have scion, which also equals Zionism. Okay? Zionism are from those that are in the province of Jerusalem today. Those are Zionists. Okay? Those are devils, folks. Okay? Those are devils in the providence of Israel. 6-sided hexagon, 6 points, and 6 triangles. That flag that they fly in Jerusalem with USA in the word and Salem in the word. You know, it's funny when I share this content with people and they look at me, they call me all kinds of names. They call me a heretic. They call me some stupid ass. They say I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. If I go into one of those rooms, stand up for Israel, and I post information like this, or the flag, and I say that the flag of Israel is 666, woo, man, I'll get 300 freaking comments telling me what a piece of shit that I am. Why? Because they are liars. The Bible says that there's no truth. Zero truth in them. There's no truth in these beasts that were created in Genesis 1:25. The beast nations, the United Nations is what's created. When God creates the beast of the field, He's creating the United Nations. You understand? That's this God, Elohim. Elohim turned the bodies when He said, let us make mankind evil in our image. Because evil and good are separated. But when the Most High Mind created the spiritual realm, He created evil and good spirits in the realm. What's the realm? The realm is Ephesians. Okay, folks, listen. Anybody in religion is going to deny anything that I've just shared with you here. They're going to deny it all, man. Okay, you have a choice. I'm providing you information. It's your job to decipher and use discernment in all this. Not my job to discern it for you. I'm just giving you the information. Ephesians 6:12 says it's not about the flesh and blood. Well, we'll hit John 6:56 here in a minute. It's about the principalities. Isn't Jesus a prince? It's about the authorities, the authors, the Elohim. It's about the authorities. It's about the evil that fights in heavenly realm. Heavenly realm. It's not about the flesh and blood. It's about the authorities, the authors who wrote the Bible. It's about the evil that fights in heavenly realms. What's the heavenly realm? Heaven. Heaven equals heaved. One letter change. Heaved. One letter. The head. Heaven is the heaved up place of the head, the high mind of the Supreme Spirit. Okay, now the Elohim are down here. They are entities. So when people say the devil made me do it. The devil can't make you do shit, man. Otherwise, there would be no free will. You see, you can't have all glory to the high mind of the Creator if the high mind of the Creator has given us free will. Because if all glory goes to the Supreme Creator, then in His hand is in every aspect that is touching in life, everything, then we don't have free will. And that parable in the New Testament that talks about predestined means that our lives are all set in place. It's all done already. And if our lives are all set in place and everything's been predestined, then free will doesn't exist, which would make us just a bunch of freaking robots. And this is where discernment takes place, where you have to have this discernment to understand what's being said. So, I don't know about you guys, but there's in John 6:56 and 56 and 57, Jesus says, this is the Last Supper, he's at the table, he's breaking bread, and he says, for my flesh, here, listen, here, have a piece of my flesh. For my flesh, Jesus says, is good food. Oh, buddy boy, woo-wee. Flesh, good food. Then he goes on to say, my blood, good drink. Good food and good drink. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood remains in me and I in him. Folks, somebody who eats flesh and drinks blood is a vampire. A vampire is a demon, a devil, and a ghost. Again, T in ghost, which is a host for the soul. Our soul inside this body is what animates the body and is also what the Elohim in the cerebellum feed off of. They need your soul in this realm to run this place. Because if everybody woke up and became aware and knew God, then this plane of existence would no longer exist. It would disappear off the grid because it doesn't exist in the first place. Why? Because that one that created itself in an image is a phantom. A phantom is a ghost. A ghost is the spirit of the dead. Jesus died on the cross. He didn't live on the cross. The cross is the crossroad, man. It's not the straight and narrow path. It's not the right path. We have been lied to at such a grand scale. Oh my goodness, man. If I could use music, if these guys would allow me to use music and let me point out to you what they're really saying, and allow me to show you parts in a movie and run the dialogue and exactly what it is that these people are saying, yeah, I think that it would help my cause here quite a bit. I think those that hear my channel, if you shared my content, that would help the cause. If you learned it and put it to memory, that would be good for your cause. If you learned it and shared it with your children, that would be good for their cause. See, it's all about the ethereal realm, the air. People say all the time, God ain't real. You know, prove to me that an atheist, there's no proof of God's existence, which is like the most absolutely stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. So, I mean, if God didn't exist, we wouldn't exist. It's that simple. The parable of 13:18, here's a call for wisdom. Wisdom is feminine. Wisdom is Sophia. And don't you find it odd that the first robotic, upright, talking entity that they created is called Sophia? Is that coincidence? I tell people we live in a simulation. 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11 says, lest Satan should get an advantage over us, for we're not ignorant of his devices. The computer is 666. Okay? The very first home computer sold for $666.66. Okay? I mean, these are big, man. 2 Corinthians 2:11. Look these things up and put them to memory. Okay? So now we're living in a simulation, and they're showing you in the movies like King Kong. They're showing you in movies like The Hunger Games. They're showing you movies like Transcendent. The one with, what's the other one with Leonardo DiCaprio? Not Expendables. What's the name of that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio where he's in a dream state? Inception? Okay? So they're showing, and what? What do they call this place here that we're living in this country? What do they call it? The American Dream. I'm trying to explain and teach you guys that you are sleeping. This is why they made the movie Sleeping Beauty. This is why she eats the apple and she goes to sleep. That is what happened to us. We're the ones that ate the apple. We're the ones that are in sleep. We're the ones living an American dream, which is really a nightmare. Why? Because the American dream is ran by thugs. They're ran by police and politicians that write policies and police us at the polls. Okay? When you vote for a corrupt, look, there isn't one person that's in government that is right if the high mind is telling us that the world's been turned over to the wicked. Okay? So there are no good people in government. They can become good. That's their choice. But they choose not to. They want the money. They want the power. They refuse to give it up. They ain't giving up their power. Okay? Because all that power with me, I don't know about the rest of you, but knowledge places you without knowledge places you on the ledge. The ledge is death. But to know is wisdom. To know is insight. To know is reason. It's logic. And it's common sense. Okay? That's the knowing. And when you have the knowledge, you defeat death. Because knowledge is power. Okay? Money equals power. But money does not equal knowledge. Sadly, everybody on this plane sees a billionaire and they think that they're the smartest people on the earth. They're book smart, they're business smart, but they are spiritually inadequate. They are subpar. They are beneath. They lack insight. They lack inside the mind. Insight, the definition for insight is mind. So when you tell an atheist, you ask them a question like, well, do you have a mind? Yes, I have a mind. Well, guess what? Revelations 13:18 says it takes wisdom and insight. Insight is the mind of the Most High, a spiritual creator of chemical alchemy. Okay? Because our bodies, everything that we're perceiving in this reality that we live is from a chemical compound that is made up in the ethereal realm. Okay? How we view this world here is from the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm's up here. Nothing's out there. It's all in our minds, everything. They keep showing us in the movies. Also, so money equals power, but it doesn't equal knowledge. And monetary in English gematria 666. Okay, so you have I have so much freaking information after a decade of studying this stuff, 3 years in the etymology dictionary, studying numerology, studying symbols, hieroglyphs, all of it. I've been deep into all of this stuff. Okay, the hieroglyphs are point on too once you start seeing what they're presenting. Okay, you have Kukan, you have Christ, you have the Statue of Liberty, you have all of these pictures and hieroglyphs are dating back just so freaking long ago. There's been so many different names for Jesus through the time. Yeshua, Iesos, Iesun, Jesus, Joseph, Josephet. I mean, it just goes on, and it changes through the time. So the Son, Jesus Christ, is the image of the invisible God. Jesus is the image of the invisible God, and an image is a mage. You guys in Christianity are worshiping the devil. And I don't know if I should say that Yahweh's the devil, but I will say that Yahweh does touch 666 because it takes wisdom. You don't get to type a name up and it's going to tell you who it is in the gematria calculator. You have to type a lot of shit into the gematria calculator. I've been typing shit into that calculator for 7 years. And in that 7 years, I probably listed about 300 666s that touch this system that we live in. And when you talk about 666 to a Christian, why do they freak out? It's their fucking Bible. They're the ones that wrote it. I'm just the one that figured it out. And that's what they don't expect. They don't expect somebody to come along and figure out all this stuff. Because you got to show yourself approved. You have to study, man. You have to dig into that Bible and you have to see those contradictions. You got to understand why they're there. If the Bible wasn't split up with evil inside of it, then we wouldn't be in the world of good and evil. The Bible has been broken up because it's expressing both good and evil. Good wrote the book, spiritual beings, humans, which are not flesh, they're not supernatural. Humans are not supernatural, okay? Humans are not flesh. Humans are spiritual beings. This world has got you thinking materialism, got you thinking spiritual natural, got you thinking witchcraft, got you thinking warlocks, got you thinking all of the bullshit, the spells and the curses that all come from the L. So when we fell, E-L, from above, we fell into the lower mind of the cerebellum. I'm going to end it with that, man, because I'm getting hot. I got the fan on me, I got the AC on me, and I'm still burning up, man. So anyways, I just want to say that, you know, today we got to love, man. We need love. We need women back in the home again with their, you know, wanting, desiring to be a partner with the husband. Not the husband's slave, not the husband's ownership as the Bible produces it, not slavery. The God that wrote itself in the Bible, the Gentile, when they got their hands on the Bible, destroyed it and wrote themselves into the Bible as God, Elohim. But the Bible tells us, 13:15, the second beast, and this is in regards to God, Lord God Yahweh, because the Lord God Yahweh is the only one in the scriptures that breathes in the life, breathes the life into the second man, which is a human. I don't know if I believe this parable, but that's the one that says in Revelations 13:15 for the second beast. So there's two beasts. It's not just one beast. There's two beasts. For the second beast was permitted to breathe into the image of the first beast. Genesis 1:25. This is God creates the beast of the field. Genesis 1:25, God creates the beast of the field. Then 26, let us create mankind in our image, turning what God, the source, created, animals, into what we are today. Movies are telling us that they taught us how to forge for iron. They taught us how to fornicate. They taught us how to the magic of makeup. They taught us all that, as we're told, is evil. Wearing makeup is evil. Why? You don't think that it's evil, but why is it evil? Because it's fake. You are making your face up. That ain't you. You know, people hate it when they just don't want to hear shit like that. They get all pissy. Man, you tell somebody, you ain't supposed to be wearing makeup. You ain't supposed to be wearing clothing that shows your ass. You bend over, you see your coochie. You ain't supposed to wear that. You tell somebody that, you tell a Christian that, man, they go haywire on you, man. They get all pissy and bent out of shape. And hey, and I'm as guilty of it as anybody else, folks, because, you know, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I loved women in them revealing clothing and stuff. And then, you know, you get older, you figure shit out, and, you know, and then you start bitching at people about it, and it all turns bad. So, I mean, I do have compassion. I do feel badly for, you know, those that are in the world. Because those that are in the world, as it says, are an enemy to God. So in the parable it says, and I used to think opposite of what I'm going to share right now. When the Bible says those that love this world are an enemy to God, then wouldn't it make sense that those that cut down all the trees and put roads and blacktops and paint the earth blue and red and green and yellow and all these other freaking colors, don't it make sense that those are not the enemy to God? Because God's saying, if you love this world, you're an enemy to Him. That's the devil. If you love this world, you're an enemy to God. So the Supreme Spirit, the whole mind, wants you to hate this place? No, 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 no. The Elohim wants you to hate this place. The Elohim want to tear it down. The Elohim want to kill. The Elohim want to murder. The Elohim want to rape. The Elohim want to do all this evil. It's time for people to wake up. Please share my content. That's all I can say, man. Much love. This is White Raptor News Ministries.